Alright, so here's a question for you. What is this film? And this film...
Well, the first symptom would be flames out of his anus.
...have in common? To be honest, it's a lot more than you'd think. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was, at least for us, a surprising addition to the wizarding world. No Harry Potter, no characters we've ever met, no Britain, no school. In fact, just about all the wizards and witches were fully competent, powerful adults. But what was most refreshing about this movie was that the main character wasn't the one I cared about the most. It was this guy. Jacob Kowalski, the muggle being pulled along through Newt Scamander's adventure. Don't get me wrong, Newt Scamander was an interesting character to follow with his own quirks and faults. But Jacob was the one I felt most connected to. Maybe it was because he was a muggle, or because Dan Fogler's performance was top-notch, but at his core, Jacob had a problem that most of the other characters, including Newt's beasts, had in common. Now, when it comes to the beasts, the question to ask yourself is why, when the case is opened, do the animals escape? Well, the answer seems pretty obvious. They want to. But why do they want to? The little duck-billed niffler seems to just want one thing, and that's anything shiny. Next, we have the demiguise, who seems to be babysitting for the alchemy, who just wants to curl up and fit in the available space. Then we have the billywig, flying around, enjoying himself, certainly keeping away from Newt if he can. And then, of course, there's the Erumpent. She just wants to... well...
she needs to mate.
Oh god, that poor hippo. Most of the animals just want to do what comes naturally to them, and for the most part, they really can't do that in Newt's case. Magical creatures, like normal animals, aren't meant for captivity. And this is where our main characters come in. They all, in their own ways, are oppressed from doing what comes naturally to them. We'll start with Jacob because he's the best. No, honestly, he's the best part of the movie, come on. He was a bit like Harry Potter in the books, and served very much as a receptacle for the audience, experiencing and discovering the magical world for the first time. Wow. Jacob came from a dead-end job canning food, and the first thing we see him do is try and fail to get a bank loan. We can see through his pastries that he absolutely loves what he does, and doing anything else
crushes the life out of you.
Queenie, a sensitive legilimens, is a bit oppressed herself. Her legilimency comes so naturally, it's almost like second nature to her.
I can't help it.
But she doesn't really get to use it in a productive way. Her talents are wasted in the wand permit office of Makusa, where she's basically the combination of a secretary and a janitor.
The job ain't that glamorous. I mean, I spend most days making coffee and jinxing the John. Tina's the career girl.
Tina is a kind of self-inflicted oppression. She got demoted from being an Auror by the enforcer of wizarding oppression, Serafina Pickery, because she attacked an extreme oppressor, Mary Lou, who was beating someone she was also oppressing, Credence. If you can't see the collective theme yet, you're oppressing yourself. Tina's reaction to her circumstance seemingly is the same as Jacob's. She's doing everything she can to get in the good graces of her bosses and get her job back. Being an Auror is what comes naturally to her, and you can tell how stressed she is that she can't do her job. Tina sees Newt as an opportunity for this problem of hers to be fixed, and on more than one occasion, she arrests him. Serafina doesn't really come off as an ally to wizarding kind. While she is just doing her job as president, she is also enforcing the rather conservative points of view American wizarding culture has about its own people and the non-wizarding world. No, I'm not gonna say it.
The no magic. No magic. The non-wizard.
But alright. I mean, Muggle sounds nothing like not wizard, I guess, and Americans like to keep things simple. Whatever, I'm digressing. Next we have Mary Lou, who is the worst of the oppressors. She owns an orphanage and feeds kids off the streets in exchange for handing out anti-wizard flyers. She also beats her adopted children, and she beats Credence more than anyone else. Mary Lou is a direct descendant of the Salem Puritans that burned almost 24 witches over 2 centuries before this story takes place. She represents a darker side of American culture that existed, and is an example of what happens when oppression is taken too far, which is where Credence comes in. Credence represents the consequences of being overly oppressed. Just from his body language and the way he talks, you can see that he has been made small and meek by those who have abused and manipulated him. He looks like a ticking time bomb, ready to go off at any second, and that's exactly what happens. The idea of the Obscurus is one of the most interesting concepts in this movie, and it is a literal manifestation of being oppressed too much and too often. It is a destructive, almost shapeless force of chaos, and it shows what happens when someone's potential and natural self is pushed away too deeply. Another form of oppression expresses itself through control. Percival Graves embodied this kind of oppression, but he also represented a desire to rebel from control and oppression in the name of freedom. Whenever Graveswald talks with Credence, he has a creepy sort of affection for him, manipulating him to find the obscurial and use it for his own means.
Find the child and we'll all be free.
The theme of oppression and the desire for freedom is made crystal clear when Grindel Graves is about to be caught.
A law that demands that we conceal our true nature. A law that directs those under its dominion to cower in fear lest we risk discovery.
Who does this law protect? Us or them?
And when Grindelwald is finally revealed, one of his final words is,
Do you think you can hold me?
I mean, seriously, I did not see that coming. I thought he was like a right-hand man or something. How cool was that? The difference here is that, like the beasts from Newt's case, Grindelwald needs captivity in order to be controlled, as he is a danger to others around him. Although Credence is also a danger to those around him, the oppression of his true self as a child has allowed the Obscurial to take hold in a kind of self-inflicted captivity that only makes things worse for him and everyone around him. If he weren't so oppressed, he wouldn't be such a danger. This movie is a great example of using theming effectively because all the characters express it in different ways. Even the use of shots, the sets, and the time period chosen represent oppression and the desire for freedom. By the way, the production design for this film is amazing.
I was opening drawers and there were archives of a made-up newspaper with news articles all the way through that they'd actually written out. Like, this is the level of detail, something that the camera will absolutely never see.
It's especially interesting that this movie took place in the Roaring '20s, which is both a time of economic prosperity and increasing nationalism. Financial regulation was down, women got the right to vote, but anti-Semitism and anti-immigrant sentiments were up. And the sale of alcohol was also prohibited, which led to the rise of speakeasies, like the wizarding one in the film. We certainly can't forget about Newt, but his expression of oppression is more like repression. His behavior denotes a very antisocial persona. One has to wonder why that is, and then we hear about Leta Lestrange. This was interesting, not only because she has the name of an infamous wizarding family, but you can tell that something about her affected Newt. We don't know much more than that, but we all know when people hurt us, we turn our pain inward and push others away. It's obvious from the start that he greatly prefers the company of his animals over people, but over the course of the movie, that seems to change. Newt gets along with Jacob rather quickly, but he's slow to trust Tina. As they get to know each other better, Newt becomes less reserved, but it's not entirely gone, and I think that there will be more to Newt's growth in the movies to come. The great thing about J.K. Rowling's stories is that they're complicated. In the Harry Potter books, themes of death, love, good, and evil seemed simple at first, but got more complicated as the books went on. Fantastic Beasts was more complicated from the onset, as the concepts of oppression, freedom, safety, and prejudice all kind of melded together. Grindelwald made a fair point that hiding from the wizarding world felt wrong, and wizards deserved freedom from hiding from the non-wizarding world. But at what cost? War? Well, Grindelwald wanted that, didn't he? One of the last moments of the movie has Newt's Thunderbird Frank being set free after he was rescued from poachers. The Thunderbird's final act before flying away was to effectively obliviate everyone using the swooping evil venom, safely keeping the wizarding world hidden or suppressed from Grindelwald's point of view from the No-Maj world. Ugh. Perhaps Fantastic Beasts is saying that for the greater good, certain measures need to be taken that may feel oppressive, but are necessary for the sake of everyone. Take it too far, though, and you get rebellion, even chaos. It's a complicated world they live in, same as ours. By the way, you'd be surprised how much this movie and Braveheart really do have in common.
He consumed the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse.
Oh, hello.
Whoa.
Wow.
We look good.
Yeah, we do.
I think we're in the 20s.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Right on. Hi, I'm Justin.
And I'm Liana.
And we're the co-creators of The Big Picture. Hope you enjoyed this video of Fantastic Beasts. Yeah, I gotta say, I liked Jacob better than I liked Newt.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, but Jacob really stole the show. I mean, the two of them together were sort of an Abbott and Costello comedy duo,
Right.
but Jacob was our favorite for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can't complain about Newt's coat though. This is pretty nice.
It looks good on you.
Thank you. You look pretty dapper yourself.
Why, thanks.
If you really like this video, please press that like button. Also share it with your friends and press that subscribe button if you want to see more videos. And also, please check out our Patreon.
Yeah, we have our Patreon set up now so you can donate if you like what you see. Anything as little as $1 per month really helps us do this full time basically, and you get some really cool perks in exchange as well.
Yeah, one of the perks is actually at the $10 level, you get a bi-weekly Q&A with myself and Liana, or just me, or just Liana, depends on what's going on. But we're going to talk about the upcoming videos in this series, as well as other projects that we are planning on doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again, everyone, so much for watching. And now for the next video, we're going to take another trip through time. Yeah, screw that, I guess, gonna go away.